All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Jeff Teaches Programming. And what I'm about to do right now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to write my first array program here. So I'm going to go into my C# programs folder, and I'm going to bring up the solution file. And I'm going to create a new program once it comes up. All right, so I'm going to close everything here that I've got open. I don't need this anymore, at least for right now. Well, it's still opening some stuff here, so. All right, let me close this. Let me close. It tells me again I'm using an older version, which I am. When I get to where I'm working with the new, when I'm working with my new computer, I'll put Visual Studio 2026 on it. But for now, this will be just fine. So I'm going to go over to my solution. I'm going to right mouse click, and I'm going to choose Add and New Project. It'll show me my templates. Again, I think it's the console app.NET framework as far as I remember. So I'll say next, and we'll call this ArrayDemoConsole, which is what it'll be. And create. Make sure I got the right one here. It looks like I do. All right. Now, I've said this to you before. Technically, we don't need any of this stuff. So I am going to get rid of it. And I'm going to replace it. I'm going to put in here using static system.console. And again, I use that because it's a shortcut where I don't have to say console.writeLine, console.readLine, etc. I can basically just put that stuff in there the way it is. All right. So we've got this ArrayDemoConsole, and I'm going to come in here, and the first thing I'm going to do is even above main, right underneath my internal class program here, right there, I'm going to come in and I'm going to declare and initialize some program constants. Okay, and I'm going to make two of them for now, three of them. I might make more later. So the first will be const int size, and it'll be the size of my array, and I'm going to set it equal to 25. And we're going to have here number of student tests. All right, I'm going to have const int, we'll call this min test score, and we'll set that equal to 0. And this will be the minimum student test score. Now, you don't have to do this. I've said this before. I'm a little squirrely about some of this stuff. Oops. So I'm going to line everything up real nice. You don't have to do it. Doesn't make your program run any better. I just think it makes it look a little nicer. That's all. All right. And finally, we'll have const int max test score. We'll set that equal to 100. So we're assuming it's a typical type of testing where you can get between 0 and 100. 0 if you don't take this test, or you don't answer any questions, or everything you answer is wrong. And 100 if you get a perfect. So you answer everything, and everything you answer is correct. All right, now what I'm going to do here is I'm also going to declare a couple of variables. So those are program constants. Those will not change throughout the life of the program. All right, but I am going to create a couple of constants here. So I will declare and initialize my program variables. All right, so the first one will be my array. So static int bracket bracket. We'll call these test scores. That's fine. We can call them whatever we want. So test scores. And we'll set it to a new array of size. Another way of doing this. So it's an array with 25 integers in it. Okay? All right. Then we'll have static int sum, and we'll set that equal to 0. Oops. And this will be, so this right here, let's move these over a little bit. So this will be our test score array with 25 members in it. And this is, oops, sorry, that should have been down here. I'll move it right now. All right. And this will be the sum of all 25 test scores. Okay. All right. And let's pretty this up just a little bit here. You might not agree when I say that I'm prettying it up. You might think it looks worse. You're right, of course. Come on. Keep hitting the wrong button here. Here we go. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to call a bunch of functions in here that don't exist. And I'm going to have this program run forever. So I'm going to literally purposely put it into an infinite loop. All right, so that I can run it again and again and again. You'll see why in a bit. Now there's different ways I can do this, but one way is I can say while 1 equal 1, and 1 always equals 1. So now I can do this. Now I'm going to put all these in here. I'm going to call 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 different routines. The first one's not going to give me an error. I want to clear the screen every time. So I'm going to say clear. And that the reason that works is that is system.console.clear. So that one works just fine. And then I'm going to have 7 more that don't work. So I'm going to call initialize array. Since it doesn't exist, I'm getting an error. Then I'm going to call sort array ascending. And they're going to get another error. Sort array descending. Another error. We'll call this get lowest test score. How's that? And another error. Get highest test score. Oops. Get highest test score. And then we'll have get sum of all test scores. And finally, get average. We'll just call it AVG of all test scores. And again, the reason I'm getting all these errors is I'm calling routines that I have not yet written. We're going to do that next. All right, but I'm modularizing the program. Rather than putting everything in main, which I could do, I'm writing routines to do this. So now the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in and I'm going to write the first one. Okay? So outside of main, I'm going to say static void initialize array. And you'll notice that as soon as I do this, that error up above goes away. Now, it's not doing anything yet, but the error went away. All right, I'm going to take all these, and I'm going to comment them out for right now. All right, and as we write them, we'll uncomment the associated routine out. So let's put some comments in here, and we'll put in here, create 25 random test scores between 0 and 100, because that's what we're going to do. All right. So I've got static void, so it's not going to return anything. Initialize array. First thing I have to do is what's called seed the rand. And what that means is I want to create 25 random numbers, but I have to tell the program, for lack of better words, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to say random, rand. The name we use here, rand, we call it anything we want. I could call it random, but rand is typically used. Is going to be equal to new random. All right, so that's seeding the rand. Next, the next thing I want to do here is I want to generate, and I didn't put a semicolon on the end, that's why I'm getting an error here. So I want to generate the 25 random numbers now. All right, so I'm going to put it into a for loop like we talked about before. So for and again, just like I mentioned before, I'll say int LCV loop control variable equals 0. And I can either say LCV less than size, which is 25, or I could use the name of the array. Oh, my battery's running low, so hold on a minute. Let me pause. All right, without going into this in too much detail, just so you know, if this machine starts beeping, I'm having a problem. Like I said, this is an older machine. So I may have to stop and fix a few things. So if I do, I apologize in advance. So I could either say this, less than size, which is totally fine, or I could use the name of the array, which we called test scores. So I could say also in here, test scores dot length. Either one would work. All right, we'll leave it like that for now, just so you see it. And then we'll say plus plus LCV. All right, so this is going to generate our 25 test scores. So I'm going to say in here, and there's different ways we can do this. All right, but what I want to show you is we've used all this stuff in here. We've created size. Notice it's not grayed out anymore. We've created the array. So we might as well use them. So what I want to do is I want to show you something here. All right, so again, I can come in just like I told you, but I'm going to comment that line out. And I'm going to put in size here. Either one works. I want to make sure you understand that. And are there advantages to using one versus the other? It depends on who you talk to. All right, so size. But I want to show you two ways of doing this. I can come in now and say numbers, LCV. No, it's test scores. I'm sorry, test scores, LCV equals, LCV equals, and now I can come in here and say rand.next 0, 101. Now, why 101 and not 100? This says go up to, but not including this number. So this says give me 25 test scores between 0 and 100. Totally fine to do it that way. But why do I use 0 and 101 when I've already got in here 0 and 100? So let's comment this line out. I'm leaving those lines in there and there so you can see there's more than one way of doing the same thing. But I'm going to say here test scores, LCV equals rand.next, and then min test score. Now I have to have in here one more than the max test score. So max test score plus 1. I really probably don't need the parens, but I think it's a good idea to put them in anyway. Both those are going to do exactly what I want them to do. All right. Now that I've got those, and that's done, Okay, I'm going to put in here a write line, and that write line is going to say display the 25 test scores in their original order. Okay, we're going to do that. And then I'm going to call that display array. All right, which was up here. Now, there's always, some people say that these should start with a capital letter. Some say they should not. All right, I was always taught that you start your function or your routines like this with a lowercase letter. Not everybody agrees with that. All right, so I don't have anything called, whoops, I don't have anything yet called display array, which is why I'm getting that error right now. Let me fix these real quick. So this will be a lowercase s, a lowercase s, a lowercase g, a lowercase g, a lowercase g, and a lowercase g. All right, that's fine. So we've got this display array, and that's why we're getting the error. So let's display. So static void display array. And you'll notice as soon as I do this and put in the curly braces, that error goes away. Now, it won't do anything. All right. But let's display them. Now, I can display them in a lot of ways, but I want to display a number, then a space, then another number, and then a space. So I'm going to put in here display the contents of the array. All right, I think I'm going to go for about a half an hour, and then I'm going to stop. So I'm at 17 minutes. Just so you know that I probably won't finish this. So this will probably be 2 lectures. All right. So I'm going to put another for loop in here. Guess what? I can copy everything I had from before. And just so for some a little different, let's use that one this time. All right. So we'll do that. Just again, you can use either one, but now I've used both of them. So I'm going to put in here write, not a write line, but a write, because I want them all to be on the same line. Numbers. LCV, oops, test scores, not numbers. I originally did it on mine, I called it numbers. So test scores, LCV, but then I want a blank line in between each one of these. Now, again, there's a lot of little tricks and stuff I could show you, but I'm not going to. I think it's kind of a waste of time. I'm just going to put in here a blank line, or a blank space, I should say. All right, then when I'm all done, I'm going to say, just so you see it, I'll put in here a write line with a blank. All right, just so I get a blank space, and then I'll say write line. Array contents displayed. Okay, just leave it like that. Now, what should happen if I haven't screwed up is it should come in here and it should clear the screen, then call initialize array, right? And then it should generate 25 random numbers and print them out if I didn't screw anything up. Let's find out. Is it possible? Of course it is that I screwed something up. But let's run this. And we want to make sure that that is our active program. All right. Well, the good news is I don't have any errors. That's good news. The bad news is it doesn't look like it displayed anything. And I'm in an infinite loop. Okay, we'll fix that right now. First of all, let's put a read line in here. Oops. Because this will stop it. In other words, this will stop the program. So let's see if that fixed it a little bit. And it may not have. All right. So display the 25 numbers in original order. Array contents displayed. So there they are. Now, I'm going to hit enter, And watch what happens. It's going to clear the screen, but notice 87, 83, 21, etc. I get 25 more numbers. If I do it again, there's 25 more numbers. There's 25 more numbers. So it is working so far. Great start. Let's move this over. All right, so that's the first thing we wanted to do. Now we want to sort the array in ascending order. So we want to do this one right here, sort array ascending. So let's do that one. So we want to display the test scores array in ascending order. So static void, and you'll notice once we do that, now that error is gone. Now it's not going to do anything yet. All right. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, because the next thing we want to do is we want to display everything in descending order. So I'll say display the test scores array in descending order. So that'll be descending. And now I can also take this one. And notice that one's not in an error either. Now, what I want you to understand, I'm gonna actually do a check here. I don't see if they have me here or not. I don't know. Loop through an array, sort arrays, array methods. Let's look at that one. I want built-in methods, so I add two numbers. I don't care about those. So C# built-in array methods. All right. Looks like under array class, that might be a good place to go look. Okay, let's see. Methods. You'll notice if we go down quite a ways, because it's in alphabetic order, lo and behold, there's some sorts. All right. I'll let you read those on your own. But I want to sort the array in ascending order. Hopefully that makes sense, what I'd like to do in here. Not only that, I also want to sort it in descending order. All right, so to sort this in ascending order, I'm going to say array dot sort. All right, what array? Test scores. And then I'm going to put another read line in here because I don't want it to just blurt out basically on the screen. And I'm going to say write line. Here is the test scores array in ascending order. And just like we did before, I can grab this whole thing in here. We don't need this array contents displayed anymore. Let's just comment that line out. And you know what? This display array where we're doing this, can't we just call display array again? The answer is you bet your boots we can. All right, so I'm now going to call again display array. Now, is this a big thing? No. In fact, whoops, I put it in the wrong spot. That's fine. In fact, let's go and copy everything in here. All right, there it is. There's the test scores. Now, what if we want it in descending order? How about if we do this? What if we sort it, and then we tell it to take those results and do a reverse? So here it is in descending order. All right, now, did we make this better? Did we fix it? Did we do anything? Let's find out. All right, so File, Save All. Let's run the program. And you'll notice, display the 25 scores in their original order. You can see them right here. I'm going to hit enter, and nothing happened. I'm going to hit it again. Here's the test scores in ascending order. Those are the same 25 values, but they're now in ascending order. And I think I've got too many not clears, but read lines in here. And there it is in descending order. We called the built-in array method to put it in ascending order. We called the built-in array method to put it in descending order. All right? Pretty cool. Now, let's see. I don't need the read line. I don't think I need it here. Let's comment this one out, and let's comment this one out. Let's run it again, see if it runs a little crisper, for lack of better words. So File, Save All. Let's run the program. There it is in original order. There it is in ascending order. There it is in descending order. All right, we're getting there. Now next, and there's many ways we can do what I'm about to show you, but the next one I want to do is I want to get the lowest element. All right, so I'm going to call get lowest test score, and you're going to find highest is going to be very similar. So let's put that one in there right away as well. So let's put a comment here that says display the lowest test score. Copy that. And this one will say display the highest test score. And this is get highest instead of get lowest. All right. So now we can take these two and comment them out, the get lowest and the get highest. And you'll notice no errors. All right. Now there's, like I said, there's different ways we can do this. But what I'm going to do here is an array.sort. Oops, try that again. I'm going to put in here array.sort of our test scores. And then I'm going to put in here, rather than calling that display, we're just going to put in here a write line that says the lowest test score is, in fact, let's put our $sign in here. Let's start doing these the right way. So $sign, and this is going to be oopsie, what did I do here? Test scores 0. Just like that. All right. Now, what I can do if I want to, so the lowest test score is that, and let's put in another read line after that. And let's also put in a \n here. We'll put in a couple of them. Now, I could, for this one, now that I've got it in sorted order, I could grab the last one. That'd be one way of doing it. Or I can grab this again. And do an array.sort. Then, as we did before, an array.reverse of test scores. And now I can say the highest test score is 0. Now, if we've done this right, and again, it's always if, we've now done the clear, the initialize, the sort, ascending, the sort descending, the get lowest, and the get highest. So what will be left will be the sum and the average, and we'll do those in just a bit. All right, so File, Save All. All right, let's run this. So there's our original. There's ascending. There's descending. Now look at this. Our lowest should be 4, and our highest should be 99 if we've done this right. So the lowest is 4. The highest is 99. We have too many blank lines in there. And you'll notice if we do it again, we can run it again, and now we could keep running it if we wanted to. So I don't need those \n's that I put in there. Okay. Now, with the sum, one thing I can do that I didn't do is when we read these numbers in originally like this, when we read those numbers in, I can say sum plus equals test score is LCV. So if I read, let's say I read in, and let's just say for some goofy reason, the numbers that went in there were 1, 2, 3, 4 through 25. Sum would be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, etc. So I have the sum now. And since I made the sum global by putting it up here, all right, since I've done that, I should now be able to use it in here. So we're getting to the tail end of this one. Maybe I will do this in one lecture. All right. So this is display the sum of all array elements, static void. All right, and I'm just going to grab these two things right here. Those two lines. And I'm going to say the sum of all test scores is, and it's just sum. And let's see what that is. See if that works. So again, File, Save All. Let's run it. See, hopefully it's going to all work. So there's our 25 original. There they are in ascending order, descending order. Lowest, 6. You can see highest should be 95, and it is. Now adding these up should be somewhere around 1,250. And you see it's pretty close. All right, so the only thing that's really left to do in here is to get our average. All right. So, and again, if I run it again, it works again, but I get different numbers. All right. So let's bring in that last routine, the only one we've got left, get AVG of all test scores. All right, so I'm going to come down to the bottom here, and we'll put in a comment that says display the average test score. And I should be lowercase. Oops. That's a little better. So static void. All right, and again, now I have no errors in my main. Main is a true driver. It's just calling routines. All right. Now we have to do a little bit of work here. Okay, so let's make this a double. We'll call it double AVG for let's call it average. Average equals, and we could set it equal to 0, but why don't we just do it right now? We can say sum divided by, we can either say 25, or we can say size, or we can say test scores dot length. Let's say size here. Now we're going to have a problem if we do it like this. It'll work, but since we made this a double, we're going to lose that because it's an int divided by an int. So let's make this, let's cast this so it's a double. Okay? Now we can just do the right line. And the average test score is, and that'll be average. Just like that. So let's save and run it, see if it seems to work. Now I want to show you something before I run the end of this, the last one. So there's our original. There it is. There's our original. There it is in ascending order. There it is in descending order. There's our lowest. There's our highest. There's our sum. Now play computer here. 1,237 divided by 25. Let's let the computer figure it out for us. So 1,237 divided by 25. So our average should be a 49.48 if we did this right. Let's see. There you go. So what I've done in this half hour now plus lecture, because I don't know how long it's been, 36 minutes, is I've written you a complete C# array program which will first create an array with 25 random numbers in it. Then it'll sort those 25 numbers into ascending order. Then it'll resort them into descending order. Then it'll grab the lowest by doing a sort again in ascending order and grabbing the first element. Then it'll give you the highest by doing an array sort and then an array reverse and grabbing the first element. Then we were adding all the elements up when we were initializing the array, so we're just printing out that result. And then finally we're taking that result, that sum, and dividing it by 25. All right, so that's pretty simple stuff. Hopefully you found that pretty simple. But what I want to do What I'd like to do in the next video then is to recreate this and recreate this as a GUI program. And I'll show you a few things that most of which we talked about, but some of which we probably have not yet talked about. All right, so let's very quickly, let me get this off the screen, but let's come in here first one more time. We'll do a file, save all, shouldn't even have to. Now, hopefully, too, you start to see, for instance, with the sort array ascending, the sort array descending, the get lowest test score, the get highest test score, the get sum and average of test scores, they'd really be better off if we would take those and put them into our validation both. So what we'll do is first we won't do that. We're just going to we'll write two versions of this. All right, so what we'll do first is we'll just write it the way that this one kind of is written. So in other words, I've got this ArrayDemoConsole. I'm going to go and add. Let's close this. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a new project, and it will be the Windows Forms app, and we will call this one Array Demo GUI 01. How's that? All right, and I'm going to do this one. Now, it's going to look a little different than a lot of what we've done before. All right, and if you say, I don't know what you mean, just bear with me if you would, okay? I'm not going to do anything else right now. I'm going to stop this lecture and start up because I'm already at around 40 minutes. I'll see you in a little bit.